Okay. I think we're going to start. Are you getting audio now? Okay. We're going to start probably with the guys from Lincoln Transportation and Utilities. That's Tim Byrne, Timbyrne, and yeah, Tim Byrne, Timbyrne, and then Lonnie Burke. He is the Maintenance Operations Manager. Lonnie Berklund, Lonnieburklund. And Lonnie, what's your title? Assistant Director of Transportation. Then we'll hear from Police Chief Jeff Blymeister, Blimeister. Then Sheriff Terry Wagner, common spelling. And then Jim David Saver is here from Lancaster County Emergency Management. And he's, do you prefer Jim or James? Jim. Oh, he's here to spectate and answer any questions that you might have about the county. It's DAVIDSAVER. All right. Tim and Lonnie, why don't you come on up? And Chief and Sheriff, why don't you come on up as well? When they're done, we'll take some questions, and then I have just a couple of reminders after that. So we'll get going. Thanks for being here. Okay. Joe, Bo, we're ready to go. Can you hear us now? We got it? Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Still nothing.
We've had it before.
Bo, can you, we'll just keep doing.
There we go.
We got it? Okay. All right. Let's get going.
Good morning. Happy to be here, answer any questions you have on some of the snow readiness and the work we've been doing. We've had about 85 units out overnight and currently plowing the streets, focused on arterials and bus routes and emergency routes. It's been a busy time for us. This, I believe, is about our 16th working event this season. Many of you have seen the sort of near record snowfall amounts that we've been handling this season. I think I saw a graphic last night that if we get another 6 or 7 inches in these couple events, we'll be a top 10 event, I think is what I've been seeing. Folks are busy and we're out and about trying to keep things safe and get the streets clear, but we'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And I've got Tim Byrne here, who's our manager of our maintenance operation division, who's been guiding our operations throughout the night.
How about the city's budget, snow removal? How are you doing with that?
Yeah, so we rolled up, I think, some numbers this past week. We're sitting at about $2.6 million expended out of our annual $4 million budget. So we're sitting okay. Those numbers do not include this past weekend's event, the event that we're currently in, and I think some folks here might have some more information on. We're expecting some more snowfall maybe this weekend. So, depending on the operations that we get into, residential plowing or not, that impacts things. But yeah, we're tracking it really close. And the bottom line is, if we get up against budget numbers here in another few weeks and keep having events, our service won't stop. We'll keep tracking those numbers and those budgets, but rest assured we'll still be plowing and putting material down on the streets to keep things safe. So.
How does the spending this year compare with previous years?
You might need to help me out on that. I think it's been more. It's tracking to be more. Again, with those 16 events that we've sort of officially documented, where we've had crews out and about. This will be more than a typical year, definitely for us, and kind of matches with what the snowfall and then those top 10 stats that we're about to see, I think.
what do you say to them?
Yeah, a couple updates on that. Actually, the Sunday night when it happened, we were out distributing some business cards to most all of the property owners. Of course, there's, in that, I think it was about a 20-block stretch, actually. But, some of them are tenants. Some of the property owners aren't on site. We've been back both on the Monday and then yesterday out verifying with a photo log and, again, kind of going door to door to make sure everybody's got contact information and understands the process to file a claim, and that we'll be following up with them to take care of that. Just a note on the hit items, depending on whether or not we do a mix of arterials and residential plowing, Tim can probably correct me here if I roll up some different stats, but I think in general, like last weekend's event, we're out covering about 15,000 miles with our plows. So just to put that in perspective a little bit, that's like sitting in a plow driving from New York City to San Francisco and doing that back and forth 5 times. So while it's not our goal to, hit signs and mailboxes, we do nick a few curbs and things from time to time because, when you're going back and forth, that equivalency of driving across America in a snowplow 5 times during an event, oftentimes at 3 a.m. when it's, dark and lighting conditions are not the best, blowing and drifting snow, doing spreading operations, running a joystick for plow operations. It's a pretty complex thing, a lot of late hours. So the team is working really hard. We're always trying to avoid those types of mishaps, but we're doing the best we can to really keep the streets safe and get out ahead of those events.
I know you have,
Yeah.
I know you have to spread your resources wisely. A lot of people are asking about side streets, residential streets. When do those become something you look at more?
So our stated level of service is when we receive 4 inches of snowfall in a singular event. Sometimes those things get kind of stacked and racked in a beyond 24-hour period back to back. We've got to make some calls to see, when is the best time to go in and clear those side streets. Our real focus initially is, as you know, arterials, emergency routes, the bus routes, school routes. So we're going to have a conversation later this afternoon on these snowfall amounts. There's, with our sensors, things that are, around that 3 to 4 inch range. We also have to make smart decisions about a pending event that's coming in this weekend, and does it make sense to get out right away or wait and do more of a full-on clearing and do some parking bans. So we'll be making those calls hopefully later this afternoon or early this evening as we finish up some other arterial work.
On that note, when you have to make the decision to go into the residential streets, is there a sort of a cost to that, or extra, in addition to just doing arterials? Is it accrue more overtime, stretch the crews longer?
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult. We've got a lot of spreadsheets and data analysis that we do to roll up the cost of events. Whether we're out doing a simple brine operation or we're doing plowing and material spreading. Of course, if we get into a residential event, there's a lot of extra person hours, both from office staff, the supervisors, the folks in the field that are actually, driving the plows. We've got a great force of private sector contractors that we also employ with those heavy events. The costs can vary depending on how much and how many times we're going up and down the arterials, and whether we're required to get into a residential event. But those costs really, vary for the specific event and the amounts of snowfall.
For the mailboxes that were taken out, is there going to be an expedited claims process for people because it's so many people?
Yeah, that's what we're hoping, and I don't have the latest on those final numbers. I think we're right around 30 units that we've been reaching out to folks, and again, law department will be following up. But we're going to try to expedite that process. I know several of them have had temp fixes out there already and that are back up, and we just want to make sure that we make that situation right, and because we're busy right now and kind of focused on this event and then another one coming this weekend. So there's there's more snow on the way.
Do we know what led up to that event? Was it a new driver? Is there going to be any kind of disciplinary actions that were taken?
We haven't met specifically with, I think, the driver or two that were along the route. We're pulling details together. But yeah, we'll be, meeting internally with staff and making sure that if there's additional training we need to be doing or having some follow-up with individual operators or a contractor, either one, that's done. Again, we're really kind of right now and today engaged in the current operations that are going on, but you bet we'll be following up.
Lonnie, one more question about that. It's very loud for the operators, right? So if they hit something, they don't always know that they hit it.
Yeah, it's a plow is a big unit, and when it's fully loaded down, there's a lot going on. We've got I don't know if you've seen, there's a wing plow that we engage out to the side, and with that equipment and the scraping and the spreading that's going on, you'd think it might be pretty obvious when you're bumping a sign or a box or things, but a lot of times, from an audible standpoint, and certainly from feeling something, that doesn't happen.
Okay, Tim, you want to
Yeah.
add anything?
As Lonnie mentioned, I would like to give you a few statistics when we talk about the level of effort that goes into an operation. When we work on arterial, school, and bus routes alone, that level of effort is approximately 1,300 lane miles. Once we deploy into residential streets, that more than doubles our workload, adding almost another 1,500 lane miles. That does escalate our resources, additional time that takes, staff hours. So far this year, as Lonnie mentioned, we're on our 16th event. With our first 15 events, to kind of tell you where we're at for the year so far, combined, our city and private contractors have logged over 19,000 hours working so far this winter. And to date, we have driven over 173,000 miles to clear the streets within the city.
Again, how many city staff crews and how many private contractors?
Those numbers tend to fluctuate a little bit depending on time of day, hours. Once we get into continual operations, they kind of tend to fluctuate up and down, so they can kind of come in or out. Some, just like the city staff, some contractors have a deeper pool of operators than others. Some of our great long-standing contractors are farm families. Maybe with 2 or 3 operators, and it gets a little tougher for them to run 2 or 3 days consecutively than it does maybe some of the other companies. But generally, it can vary.
Hey, Jeff, you want to tell us?
Sure.
What drivers are up to?
So first, I want to extend an extreme thank you to a couple different things. First, the citizens of Lincoln. We've had 2 reportable accidents since midnight. A trend line analysis from 2017 on a typical Wednesday shows that there's more than 30 accidents is the average on a Wednesday. Again, 2 since midnight, and that's attributable to the driving behaviors we've learned. We're driving very safely and defensively, and 2, to the staff for Lincoln Transportation and Utilities. I am so impressed with the work that they have done and the long hours that they've had over multiple different events that you've just heard Lonnie and Tim speak about. So, any questions that you might have of me?
The storm hasn't forced you guys to change your response to crashes at all?
Great.
As happens elsewhere?
Great question, Riley, and no, we have not instituted any change in our reporting practices. If you call, we will come. Again, that's a testament to LTU being able to open the roadways, keep them safe, so our response times are efficient both for ourselves, for Lincoln Fire and Rescue, for everybody that needs to get to work, including hospital staff, in the unfortunate event that somebody would be injured in a traffic crash. Thanks.
Sheriff, what's happening in the county?
Well, ditto. We've since about 8 o'clock last night, we've only had a couple of traffic events, a couple of cars in the ditch, and one minor traffic collision. So I think, yeah, my hat's off to citizens as well. They're driving safely. They're not getting out unless they have to, and they're really taking the warnings to heart. So, I think the one thing we're faced with in the county is that it's going to take us maybe a little bit longer to respond to some calls for service, just because of the snow on some of the gravel roads. I know the county engineer's office has been out doing the main roads, but the east-west roads are drifting a bit. And there's some roadways. Highway 77 north is down to 1 lane. Highway 77 south is in better shape, but slushy. And interstate's always a concern as well. So, you know, one of the issues we have on gravel roads, and I saw this on Monday when I was out driving around, was that people park at the end of their driveway on the edge of the roadway so that they can make it out their driveway in the morning, and that's always a concern. It causes some problems for snowplow operators and those kinds of things. So people are doing a good job. We just need to be cognizant of some of those issues.
I just wanted one quick question about this weekend's forecasted weather could be a real concern, could it not, if we're talking about ice and snow together and so on, if the forecast holds up?
Well, you know, we rely on emergency management to let us know what the weather's going to be like, but it really doesn't change much unless you know, we're not going to have a commute on Saturday. You know, it helps like today with the schools being out that traffic's not as heavy. So Saturdays generally aren't as heavily traveled as days of the week, and it makes it a little bit easier.
Sheriff, how much does, you know, the no school cancellation, you know, affect your ability to respond to crashes, stuff like that?
Well, it just, I mean, it number one, it cuts down on the amount of traffic out there, so it cuts down on the amount of crashes that are potentially happening, and then you know, with less amount of crashes or less amount of traffic, we can get there quicker. So, yeah, having the schools out really does help on a number of different fronts.
Any questions?
I have just a couple of other reminders and things that have come up today. All the Aging Partners Senior Centers in Lincoln and Lancaster County are closed today because of the weather. All Lincoln, all Lincoln City libraries are open today. The only exception is the Williams branch, which is at Arnold Elementary School. But all the events and programs at the libraries are canceled, and that includes the preschool story time, the Teen Art Lab, African American Read-In, so hopefully those will all be rescheduled. We do want to remind people that as they're clearing their walks that it is illegal to push or blow snow into or on any street, alley, or sidewalk. We also want to encourage people to clear the snow from the fire hydrants. That's very important for our fire department if there is a fire to be able to get to the hydrant. You also will probably want to clear the snow from around your mailbox because the post office sometimes is that if they're not able to get to your mailbox, it slows them down, or else you might not get your mail at all, so you might want to consider that. You'll also, if you are lucky enough to stay home, stay home. If you have a planned activity, be sure you call ahead to make sure that it's still going on. And if you do go out, allow plenty of following distance. Make sure you leave early. If you're going to the big James Taylor Bonnie Raitt concert tonight, make sure you leave early because there will be crowds there. And also, it's very important to be safe and drive very carefully around our snow crews. Give them plenty of room to do their work as well. So Mickey Esposito, the Director of Lincoln Transportation and Utilities, is here. I can't see her, but do you have anything you want to add?
I might add something about snow angels.
Okay, Mickey's going to come on up. It's Mickey Esposito, and she is the Director of Lincoln Transportation and Utilities.
Okay. For all of you out there who might be having trouble scooping your snow off your sidewalks, that is a compliance issue in Lincoln. And so if you're having some trouble, please go to our website, lincoln.ne.gov, at our snow site, and you can actually connect with a volunteer that can help you scoop snow off of your sidewalk. It's called the Snow Angels program, and we really want to take care of people with disabilities and the elderly.
The only other thing I might add is that we want people to be alert for any notices about residential plowing if we do decide to do that. We may issue residential parking bans, but even if we don't issue a residential parking ban and we are in the residential areas, we do need people to be alert to the notices about snow operations and to keep your car off the street, off those residential streets. It really helps our crew. even if there's not a parking ban, we ask people to make sure their cars are off the streets. So, and we'll, again, Lonnie, I believe you said we'll have a decision sometime this afternoon on whether we'll be in the residential areas. So, any other questions for anybody? Okay, thanks everybody. Stay safe.